Hello, candle lovers. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Greg, and this is All Aboot Candles. Happy Sunday, everyone. Every Sunday, I like to bring you the weekly wax wrap-up. This is a rundown of all the candles that I finished burning this week, how they smelled, how they performed, all that good stuff. I've been in a bit of a race to finish up a bunch of my spring candles here, and so I've got a lot of stuff to get through. I had a lot of candles in the old candle closet that had about a third left in it, and the last couple of weeks have been my weeks to finish things up because I'm eager to move on to summer. I am eager to start burning all of the summery, leafy green, bamboo-y, and coconutty types of candles. Anyways, let's get started with Spring Apple by Bath and Body Works. This was a new fragrance this spring. I thought that this collection was quite nice. I picked up a few from this collection, some old returning favorites, as well as this Spring Apple, which was a new one. We had a new sort of white lid on this candle, which I thought was cute. And the scent notes on Spring Apple are apple trees, vanilla, and sweet pear. Now, I am not really big on apple fragrances, particularly not so much the fall apple fragrances, but what I do like are sort of bright, crisp, green apple fragrances, and this one really hit that spot for me. And I actually think that this fragrance is almost as much pear as it is apple, which is probably part of the reason why I enjoyed it as much as I did. There's a vanilla scent note listed in here. I can't say that I was picking up on the vanilla really at all. There is perhaps a little bit of a smooth, sweetness in the base of this candle, but mostly what I'm picking up on is a juicy, watery pear note, a nice crisp apple note, and there's also definitely sort of a bit of a lush and green vibe in here as well. Yeah, I actually like this fragrance, and the candle performed fairly well for the most part. It was a pretty nice, clean burn. The majority of the candle burned really, really nicely from top to bottom. Right at the end there, I let it burn for a little bit too long, and the last burn, it did get a little bit swirly and dark in there. I'd say that the strength and throw on this candle was probably a 6.5 in my more open area, which is pretty decent. A 6.5 I'll take these days. When I had it in the bedroom, it definitely got up to a 7, so not bad strength and throw, nothing amazing. I don't think this will be a repurchase for me. I kind of just wanted to try one. I'm not huge on apple fragrances, but I wanted to give it a go, and I'm glad that I did. But yeah, not a repurchase for me, but I would recommend this candle to you. I don't have any major qualms about it. So yeah, Spring Apple. Nice little surprise for me this spring, an apple fragrance that I could tolerate. I also finished up a Rose Water and Ivy from that same collection. Man, I hadn't tried this candle out for years. So when I saw it out in this cute new spring collection, I was let me give it a go. We've also got the cute white lid on there. And both of these candles actually had colored glass. It's not a colored wraparound. But the thing that bothered me a little bit about them is that front facing label there is actually quite noticeable. But that's a little bit of a nitpick. Rosewater and Ivy has probably been around for almost 10 years. I want to say that we first started seeing it around maybe 2015 or 2016. Possibly, and it's been in the White Barn core line for a really long time now. So it's one of those candles that you kind of just get used to seeing around all the time and you get pretty bored of. And I hadn't actually burned one for years, and so I decided to give it a try this year, and I'm glad I did. I actually really ended up enjoying this. The scent notes on it are soft rose petals, English ivy, and lemon blossom. And this is like a pretty straightforward rose fragrance, to be honest with you. There's nothing super duper unique or special about it, but I will say that it's very nicely balanced and very well executed. There's a reason why fragrances like this hang around at Bath & Body Works so often all the time. It's because people like them. It is a nice, soft, dewy, sort of lush rose fragrance. It is not like a dry, powdery, musky rose. It's like a nice, fresh, slightly watery, green, lush, dewy rose note, and I really do enjoy it. And I really enjoyed burning this candle too. The strength and throw on it, I feel like, is not as good as it was in past years. It was a nice performance as far as like cleanliness goes. Like, look at how white that wax is. I burned this candle down until there was like nothing left. And there was no sooting, no murkiness, like really no issues with the cleanliness. But I'd say that the strength and throw on this was probably only about a 6.5 in my more open area. Maybe in the bedroom it got to a 7. I can't quite remember, but I do remember noting that in my more open space it maxed down at like a 6.5, which isn't terrible, but the bummer there is that I seem to remember when this candle first came out, it was like an 8 for strength and throw. I remember this being like a pretty powerful rose candle back in the day, and so it's definitely one of those candles that has sort of gotten a little bit weaker over the years. Same thing, in my opinion, with fresh cut lilacs. So, you know, the strength and throw was not where I was hoping or I remember it being, but I still enjoyed it. It still had a presence to it. It was a nice burn. I probably will repurchase it again at some point in time, and I would recommend it to you if you like a nice fresh rose fragrance. It was a pretty good one. I also finished burning up Limoncello from Bath and Body Works. This came out for Candle Day in December. I thought that this packaging was pretty phoned in and unremarkable. A little bit of a different lid on this guy here. I had not burned the Limoncello fragrance for a really, really, really long time. And this hadn't come out in candle form. At least this candle hadn't been on my radar for several years. So I wanted to give it a try. The scent notes on it are tangy Sorrento lemons, bright lemon zest, and fresh sugarcane. And this is a pretty strong, pretty straightforward lemon fragrance. It doesn't have that like super sugary note that we tend to get with a lot of the Bath & Body Works lemon fragrances nowadays, but it does have sort of like, it's almost like more of a smooth, like simple syrup sugary note, you know? They say fresh sugar cane. There is kind of an interesting like depth to the sweetness in the Limoncello fragrance. Like it kind of sits in more of a medium range, whereas usually lemony candles sit in like a fairly high register. This is kind of more in a medium range. There's an interesting like warmth and depth to the sugary note, the sugarcane note in this candle, and the lemon note as well. It comes across to me as much more of like a lemon zest or a lemon rind than like the really like tangy, citrusy like innards of a lemon. You know what I mean? It's almost a little bit oily and almost going into like a gourmand territory. I mean, I didn't hate the fragrance. I don't love it. I think I've tried this candle like a pretty long time ago, so I just kind of wanted to check in with it. I don't picture myself repurchasing it anytime soon. I'm not sure I'd make like a hearty recommendation on this fragrance either. I think there are lemon candles out there that are done a fair bit more nicely than this one is. But the performance on this was decent. It did get a little bit dirty and murky at the end there on the last burn. I don't think it was a really bad like sooty candle or anything like that. Pretty nice clean performance from beginning to end. I'd say that the strength and throw on this got up to a 7. I had it in my bedroom for a little while. Definitely got up to a 7 in there. I'd say in my more open area, it was about a 6 or a 6.5. So that's pretty acceptable. Not terrible, but nothing that exciting disappointing either. Same goes for this Sunny Coconut candle. This is from that same collection that came out on Candle Day in December. I think that this label's really kind of ugly, guys. Something about this picture of the coconut there, it's just a little bit of a turnoff for me. Pretty phoned in packaging with just, you know, a boring front-facing label and white wax. The scent notes on Sunny Coconut are creamy coconut, palm sugar, and bright sunny days. And this candle is out in the newly revamped White Barn core line, so you can get it on the floor in packaging that looks like this right now. I can see why they would add this to the White Barn core line, because it's a fairly unoffensive, sort of kind of generic-ish, people-pleasing, straightforward coconut note. I really prefer my coconut candles to have a little bit more personality than this, to be honest with you. There is sort of a nice, sweet brightness to this fragrance, but it's not particularly well balanced or interesting. I think that they could have added a little bit of something to this to give it just a touch more personality. Maybe a little bit of a greenness on the top of this fragrance, or maybe if they even added something a little bit woody in the base of it, just something to give it a little bit more pizzazz. But it's a nice fragrance. It's a nice fragrance. I think it's aptly titled Sunny Coconut. It's quite bright. When it comes to coconut candles, I really prefer Mahogany Coconut. And I really wish that they would bring back that Cocoa Paradise candle. I feel like Cocoa Paradise, that was more of a body care launch situation, but I loved that Cocoa Paradise candle so much. Anyways, getting back to Sunny Coconut, it performed pretty well for the most part. It was a really nice clean burn all the way to the bottom there. I don't think that discoloration happened until I was all the way down to the bottom of the candle, just sort of letting it run its course at the end. The strength and throw on this though wasn't fantastic. I'd say in my more open area, it maxed out at about a 6. Maybe if I'm being generous, a 6.5. Not really tremendous strength and throw or presence or fragrance quality in my opinion. I will definitely be sticking to my Mahogany Coconut. This wouldn't be a repurchase for me or a recommendation for you really, but it is a nice straightforward coconut candle. So if that's what you're in the market for, you might enjoy it, as long as you're not expecting it to be a powerhouse, because it definitely wasn't that either. Like I said, this came out for Candle Day in December, and it has now appeared in the revamped White Barn core line. I'm guessing that the one that's on the floor right now is probably exactly the same as this. I can't imagine that they've really tinkered with the formula that much in that sort of time frame. So yeah, I'm guessing the one that's on the floor now will perform and smell pretty much exactly the same as that one did. I also finished up a Vanilla Birch from Bath & Body Works, one of my very favorite fragrances from Bath & Body Works. And I think that this is the most beautiful packaging we've ever had Vanilla Birch come out in. There's sort of a nice, cute, painterly vibe to this candle, and it just looked stunning when it was burning. This whole collection, I bought so many of them. I'm burning a Palo Santo from this collection right now. There was lavender and vanilla in this collection, which was really good, and I love Vanilla Birch. The scent notes on it are white birch, Madagascar vanilla, and warm sandalwood. I always feel like they've done a bit of a disservice to this fragrance by not listing any sort of a powdery or musky note, because I think some people are a little bit disappointed with how musky and powdery this fragrance is, but I absolutely love it. There's a really nice smooth vanilla in there and a bright sharp birch note. Oh, I absolutely adore it. Oh, I love this one a lot. I follow an Instagram account, and the name of the Instagram account is just Vanilla Birch Addict. And I'm like, yes, girl, get your life. Vanilla Birch Addict. I buy multiple Vanilla Birch candles every year. I can't get enough of them. I really, really enjoy it. This candle performed really, really well. I burned it all the way down until about the halfway point here. Not because it was performing poorly, but I just decided I wanted to put the rest of it in a crock in my bedroom and just let it simmer in there for a couple of days. And I really, really did enjoy it that way. I'd say that when I was burning the first half of the candle, the strength and the throw on it was probably like a 7-ish, which isn't terrible. In my more open area, that is. I'd say it was a 7. When I put it in the candle crock in my bedroom, it was like a 7.5 or an 8 and lasted for a really, really long time in there as well. And, I'm actually still picking up on a fair bit of fragrance left in here, so this might be going under the candle lamp tonight, to be honest with you. I just love vanilla birch. I also finished up some lavender marshmallows. I finished up the one from Candle Day in December as well. Or no, this wasn't this last December. This is from Candle Day, let me see here, 2023, Lavender Marshmellow. And then I also finished up one of the new Lavender Marshmallows that was like part of this sort of picnic collection in early spring from Bath & Body Works. Man, look at how crooked they got that label. Oh, that's been happening a lot lately. Not the end of the world, but hey, I do think that the presentation on this one is a little bit nicer than this one. We also had a cute lid with like pictures of like ice cream cones and cakes and whatnot, whereas just a boring lid on this year's version of the Lavender Marshmellow. As far as I could tell, these candles performed basically exactly the same. They both had colored wax on them and thick ropey wicks, and the scent notes on Lavender Marshmellow are fluffy marshmallows, touch of lavender, and fresh vanilla bean. And they didn't change the scent notes at all on this year's version. I'll speak specifically to the way that this year's version performed because it's still out there. I think it's still on the floor. I saw it the last time I was in the store. I really love this fragrance. I love like a floral gourmand fragrance, and that is exactly what this is. I pick up on a really strong amount of caramel in this candle, which is not listed, but caramel is really just another format of sugar, and marshmallow is really just a form of sugar as well. So there's a really sort of caramely floral vibe to this. I've always really, really liked this one. Oh, I love it. It's very sort of full and well-rounded and kind of rich. And it is a sweet candle, but it's not like super, super sweet, granulated, sugary type, It's like a nice sort of soft, fluffy marshmallow sweetness with a nice, soft lavender in there. The thing about Lavender Marshmellow is that pink lavender and espresso has kind of stolen Lavender Marshmellow's thunder, if you know what I mean. Because I'm quite certain that pink lavender and espresso is just Lavender Marshmellow with an espresso note added into it. And I have to say that I think I prefer pink lavender and espresso over Lavender Marshmellow now, but they're both fantastic candles, really well executed, and usually pretty good performers. Speaking specifically to the performance on this one, it was a really nice clean burn all the way down to the bottom there. Very little discoloration on the wax. The jar is still looking pretty nice and clean. I would say that the strength and throw on this was probably around a 6.5 to a 7. Like a 6.5 in my big, more open space, probably a 7 in the bedroom. Maybe it gets up to about a 7.5 in the bedroom. Yeah, I really like Lavender Marshmellow. I hope that it keeps coming back on a regular basis because I like to burn 1 or 2 every year. I also finished up a blueberry lemon sour. You guys can see I'm obviously trying to get through some of my stash here. This blueberry lemon sour came out on Candle Day with this Lavender Marshmellow candle. Yeah, nothing to complain really about the packaging. I do love this like bright, sunny, gorgeous colored wax on there. The scent notes on blueberry lemon sour are sugared lemonade and blueberry sugar. And yeah, I mean, you really don't pick up on much more than that. Lemon, sugar, and blueberry. It doesn't have, the reason why I like this candle is because it doesn't have like a bubbly sort of fruity effervescence to it. I actually think that it's quite a smooth fragrance. It's not particularly like nuanced or interesting or well balanced. It's a pretty straightforward fragrance, but I enjoyed it, and I burned it once. And I'd say that the strength and throw, when I burned it the first time, got maybe to like a 6 or a 6.5. I'd give it a 6.5 in a more open area. But then I was like, you know what? For me, this is more of the type of fragrance that I like to lamp in my kitchen. And so it spent the rest of its life getting lamped in my kitchen. And I'd say that it got up to like a 7, maybe even a 7.5. It was a nice sort of like sweet, light, lemony, vibe. I didn't mind it. Nothing spectacular. I don't think that would be a repurchase for me, but if fragrances like that are your thing, there's no reason why I wouldn't recommend it. I also finished up a Mahogany Coconut, my beloved Mahogany Coconut. I started actually burning this candle a while ago because, I consider myself a fairly seasonal burner, but since I've been doing this channel and like talking to other people who don't burn seasonally, I've been really relaxing my rules a little bit. And a couple months ago, I was talking to Lisa Smith in my comment section. Hey girl, love you. And Lisa isn't a seasonal burner. She says that she just burns whatever she feels like, whatever speaks to her soul. And back when it was like still kind of snowy and cold here, she was burning a Mahogany Coconut, and I think she posted about it on Instagram, and I got so jealous. I was like, I can burn a Mahogany Coconut too if I want. And so I started burning this a little while ago. Man, I love this candle. I think this is probably my favorite coconut fragrance from Bath & Body Works. The scent notes on it are creamy coconut, mahogany woods, and English something. I can't tell what it says because for whatever reason, this label has been kind of ripped off the bottom of the candle. I'm really not sure how that happened because I didn't put this like in a candle lamp or in my candle crock. But anyways, this is a really nice, like rich, deep, woodsy, coconutty fragrance. It sort of sits in like a medium to lower register. And as far as coconut fragrances go, this is kind of like a really masculine fragrance. And the creaminess of like, there's the wood note, like it's a very creamy candle because you're getting some of that creaminess from the coconut as well as the wood. And it's just really nice and like rich and robust. And they did release this in like men's personal fragrance. I think they put it out in, I think they called it a cologne mist. And I bought that product and I thought it was total BS because you would spray it on yourself and then 2 minutes later it was completely gone. But I did pick it up in the body lotion, which I thought was a little bit better. I thought that the lotion, or it was the cream, it was like the cream that comes in the big tubes. I don't buy a lot of body care from Bath & Body Works, but I was so interested in like being able to wear this. And I wish they had put it out in a proper cologne that it had some longevity instead of that cologne mist, because I just did not see the point of that cologne mist. There was absolutely no longevity to that at all. You sprayed it and it was done. But anyways, I'm getting a little bit off topic here. Really nice, rich, woodsy coconut fragrance. And the performance on this candle did pretty well. I think that this is like the first version of Mahogany Coconut that I had actually tried. This version came out in 2022 and I stocked up on it. And I stocked up on it again recently as well, because here's what you need to know about Mahogany Coconut. When they put it out in the neutrals line, they put the thin core wicks on it. However, it has also come out on Candle Day for the last 2 years in the non-neutrals line packaging. So 1 year it came out in packaging that looked like this, and then more recently it came out in packaging that looked like this. And in both of these cases, the candles that came out for Candle Day in the not neutrals packaging had thin curling wicks, and they perform so much better with with the Mahogany Coconut like formula for whatever reason. And so whenever I can, I still buy this in the neutrals line with the thin core wicks, but whenever it comes out in a different like format, it's got the thin curling wicks on it, and they perform so much better all the way down from the top to the bottom. The candle performs so good with those thin curling wicks. My theory, and I have absolutely no science to back this up, but when Bath and Body Works use vessels that are sort of like this ceramic vibe, they tend to not do that well, particularly the last half of the candle. We see that a lot actually with pink lavender and espresso too. First half of the candle does great, second half of the candle not so great, but then that pink lavender and espresso that came out in packaging that looked like this burned beautifully and perfectly all the way from the top to the bottom. And so I also think that the White Barn core line, they also have like the older White Barn core line. There's also sort of like a ceramic-y texture to the material that they use for those vessels. And those candles really don't perform very well either, and generally give you bad problems after the halfway mark. And so I'm wondering if that might not be part of the reason why they just revamped the White Barn core line. The new White Barn core candles are in glass vessels as opposed to this sort of ceramic one. And I really do like the look and feel of the ceramic vessels in the neutrals line, but if that is the reason why half of the candles are performing so badly, I'd really appreciate for them to just go back to a glass vessel and the thin curling wicks for Mahogany Coconut, because it performs so much better like that. Anyways, this one did okay. It was like a nice clean burn, but it's constantly dudding out after the halfway point, to the point where I actually remove a little bit of wax. And you guys know I do not F around with like hot wax. I hate touching it. I don't pour wax out of candles. I don't cotton ball. But man, this was such a bad dud out situation, and always has been with this iteration of the candle, that I did remove a little bit of wax from it to get it going a little bit, and it did okay. It did all right. I mean, I am really looking forward to burning this version of Mahogany Coconut this summer, because I bought like 4 of those during Candle Day, and I suspect that it's going to perform much better than the neutrals version does. Anyways, whew, that was a lot of that was a lot of Mahogany Coconut jar talk. I also finished up a Luscious Pistachio from Goose Creek. This was a bit of an odd one, you guys. This came out in sort of the first wave of spring collections from Goose Creek. These candles looked a lot better like in person when they were burning than they did like in pictures and in videos. However, I did notice that this jar, I think the heat kind of got to it and started to melt the wraparound a little bit here, which is a touch concerning. Anyways, this is an interesting candle. The scent notes on Luscious Pistachio are pistachio milk, silky shea butter, and velvet petals. And I was not expecting this to be like a fruity, floral, like perfume fragrance. I really wasn't. There is a little bit of a sort of a floral nuttiness in here, but for the most part, this is a really odd, sort of creamy, sharp, fruity, floral, perfumey fragrance. And it's honestly kind of unlike anything I had ever smelled before. My favorite types of candles are candles that are a little bit weird but also pleasant, and that is definitely where Luscious Pistachio falls for me. I have a full-length review out for this candle, and I would suggest checking that out if you're interested. I've got full-length reviews out for a lot of these candles, and I will link to them below. In my full-length review of this candle, I really get into the details of this fragrance and why I think it smells the way that it smells. Ultimately, a really strong, sharp, peculiar, sort of fruity, floral fragrance with a fair bit of greenery in there and a little bit of an underlying kind of nuttiness. Pistachios aren't actually nuts, by the by. Anyways, this candle, I had some issues with the performance. Even though I limit my Goose Creek burn times to like 2 hours, like 2.5 hours max, the first half of this candle performed beautifully and really, really strong. I'd say like an 8 for strength and throw, and that's in my more open area. I never even put this in the bedroom. It was a really nice, strong 8 for strength and throw. And even when it started to get dirty and murky and sooty at about this point here, I burned it outside one night. And even when I was burning this candle outside, I was like sitting in the chair, probably like 4 feet away from it. And I felt like this was like a 7 for strength and throw when I was burning it outside. Yeah, but like I said, first half of the candle, really nice, clean burn. And the last third of it was real bad, you guys. Like you can actually see like the dirty, like murky stains around the side of the jar there. And I mean, look at that wax. Really, really, really not great. However, this was such a strong, peculiar fragrance and I really enjoyed it. I actually think I might repurchase this. Here's to hoping that if they bring this out again next year, they tinker with it a little bit and it will be a cleaner burn, in which case I will repurchase it. This is a hard one for me to recommend, especially since like most of us don't live right by Goose Creek, so there's no way for you to smell this candle before you purchase it. It's a bit of an odd one. It's hard for me to recommend this, especially considering how dirty it got towards the end, but I enjoyed it and I think that I will be repurchasing it at some point. I also finished up a That's So Vanilla from Goose Creek. That is so vanilla. This candle just immediately makes me, feel like a valley girl. I can't think of any other way to read off the name of this candle than to say, that's so vanilla. I loved this candle, you guys. I have a full-length review out for this candle as well. I'll link to that below. I really do suggest checking out my full-length review if you are interested in this candle. I really do get into the details in that review. But to summarize, the scent notes on it are vanilla cream, pink pepper, and cashmere woods. Goose Creek by far has the best strength and throw on their vanilla candles and some of the best vanilla fragrances as well. And this reminds me actually quite a bit of their Vanilla Fluff candle. I wouldn't be surprised if they took that Vanilla Fluff candle and just tinkered with it a little bit, added a little bit more depth into the base of it, and a little bit of like, almost like what I would describe as a blonde woodsy cashmere to the top of this fragrance. The majority of the fragrance is a really nice, smooth, creamy vanilla. It's not a bakery vanilla, and it's also not like a fresh vanilla bean vanilla. It's just a really nice, straight up gourmandy vanilla. And in the base of it, there is kind of an interesting little bit of a peppery nuance, It's not like super present. It's not quite like Wicked Vanilla Woods from Bath & Body Works, but there is something a little bit interesting and peppery in the base. I really, really, really like this one. Man, this was a nice one. And it burned beautifully too. I burned this all the way down until I could see the wick nickels. And this was a really nice clean burn. Right at the very end there, things started to get a little bit murky, but for the most part, a really nice clean burn from top to bottom. I'd say that the strength and the throw on this was a 7. In my more open area, like it did not get lost at all. In the more open concept, a really good solid 7 for strength and throw, which is what I like to see from a vanilla candle. I did put it in the bedroom and it was nice and strong in there. It got up to an 8 for sure. sure for strength and throw in the bedroom. So I was pretty impressed with this one. This has been a repurchase for me. I've got a Goose Creek order coming my way this week. I've ordered another one of these. If you are a hoe for vanilla like I am, I would absolutely recommend it to you. I really enjoyed that candle. I also finished up Guilty from Goose Creek. And Goose Creek has they always have a pretty large selection of men's candles on their website. And they keep it up to date too. They just added 2 more candles to their men's candle collection. I call candles like this mandals. The scent notes on Guilty are black leather, warm suede, and cedar wood. Oh gosh. Now, I don't order a lot of mandals if I can't smell them first, because a lot of the time you end up with a lot of really generic bergamot and cedar wood fragrances. But Summer from Fragrance Junkie, she knows how much I love a leather fragrance, and she recommended this one to me. When Summer recommends a candle to me, I go out and I get it, and I'm really glad I tried this one because I do love the fragrance. It is definitely a men's cologne fragrance, but it is a men's cologne that I would buy and I would wear. It reminds me a little bit of Eddie's leather jacket from Bath and Body Works. The top note is a really lovely leather note, and it's a nice, smooth, soft, warm, supple leather note. Really, really lovely. And then the base and the mid-level of this candle is sort of a woodsiness, a slightly creamy, very kind of textured, soft woodsiness. Really, really nice. Yeah, I enjoyed this candle quite a bit. Warm suede. I think that the suede note might be speaking a little bit more to the texture of this fragrance than a literal sort of sueded fragrance note. Do you know what I mean? There's something kind of just soft, but also strong and masculine about this one. Oh, I really, really, really liked it. I just wish that it had performed better. Strength and throw was fine. I don't have any complaints about the strength and throw. Just like that vanilla candle, I'd say that this was an 8 in the bedroom and probably a 7 in my more open area. So decent strength and throw, but it got pretty dirty at the end. And look, I've got some pretty bad soot marks on there as well. I'd say that the first half of the candle performed really nicely. Pretty nice, clean burn. But then the entire last half of it, no matter how short I trimmed those wicks, the candle would just get to roaring in no time and start sooting, and the wax was getting dark and swirly. And so I actually finished the rest of this candle up under a heat lamp, and I really enjoyed it that way as well. In the heat lamp in my kitchen, it was an 8 for strength and throw. Not bad at all. And even though the last half of that candle burned so dirty, I think I'll repurchase it. And burn the first half and then put the last half of it in a candle crock in my bedroom. Yeah, I picture myself repurchasing that one for sure. I also finished up Cherry Blossom from Village Candle. I love Village Candle, you guys. I will always stand up for Village Candle. However, I don't have great news to report on this Cherry Blossom candle. I wasn't even a big fan of the label. Usually I don't mind the labels and the beautifully colored wax from Village Candle, but this picture of the Cherry Blossom there is really kind of fuzzy, and it looks almost sort of faded. You know what I mean? The wax was a lovely, lovely shade. This is a 21.25 ounce candle with 2 wicks, and these candles burn for 160 hours. I kept this candle for the most part on my desk and in a hurricane, and even under those circumstances, hurricane, smaller space, I'm sitting pretty close to it. It maybe maxed out at a 5.5 for strength and throw. Really not great. And in my more open area, it was just completely lost. Like I had to be standing pretty much over it to be able to smell it. So I'd give it like a 2 for strength and throw in a more open area. But anyways, I skipped over the fragrance notes for this candle and the scent notes for it. The top notes are cherry, crisp aldehydes, pineapple, and green leaf. The mid notes are jasmine, violet, fig, cherry blossom, peach, and clove. And the base notes are sandalwood, cedarwood, and tonka. Now, there's a lot of scent notes there that I'm really not picking up on, you guys. I'm not picking up on any pineapple. I'm not picking up on the jasmine, really, or the violet, or the clove, or the peach. And I definitely wasn't picking up on the tonka. In the base of this candle, there is a little bit of a woodsiness to it, like a smooth woodsiness. And I'd say that the main component to this candle, though, is a fairly straightforward, soft, floral cherry blossom note. And it's not a really musky note. So you know how a lot of cherry blossom candles, like Japanese cherry blossom from Bath and Body Works, or right now I'm actually burning Sakura Blossom Festival from Yankee Candle. Both of those candles have a pretty like powdery, musky, perfumey presence to it. And this candle doesn't. I actually really, really like the fragrance itself because while it is a floral cherry blossom, they do also add in there like a literal like cherry fruit note as well to the top. So there's a little bit of like a fruity cherryness to the top of this fragrance. But then the main component of this is just a really, really nice, fresh, almost like dewy floral cherry blossom note without like the musky powderiness that you get from a lot of cherry blossom candles, which I actually really appreciated and I thought made this candle kind of unique for a cherry blossom fragrance. It was really nice and soft and lovely. But yeah, just like I said, not great performance, could barely smell it. Had to be in a hurricane on my desk, a couple feet away from me, smaller space to get it up to a 5.5 for strength and throw. So I cannot recommend this candle, but I like this cherry blossom fragrance so much, I would consider repurchasing it and just putting it straight into a candle crock in the bedroom instead of burning it. I really would. I think the fragrance is that nice. I don't think that fragrance quality is where Village Candle screws up. You know, they screw up on their execution. Their candles across the board need to be a little bit stronger and not so duddy. This candle, I think there might have been periods where it was burning really low, a lot lower than I would have liked for it to. But with Village Candles, my approach is to just be patient with them and eventually they correct themselves. I mean, I burned this all the way from the top to the bottom, and as you can see, really nice, clean burn. Like, no sooting, no messiness, no ugliness at all. The wax is still fairly colorful and intact. Really, really nice, clean burn. Couple of dud out periods, but, you know, I mean, I might repurchase it again just for the candle crock. Anyways, that's all I've got for you folks this week in terms of candles. Happy Sunday, everyone. How are you doing? What are your plans like for the rest of the weekend here? Last weekend, I was in Vancouver with the boyfriend at the Kylie Minogue concert, and oh my goodness, we had the time of our lives. Our tickets were for like sort of the general standing area, like the pit area, and so we actually got really, really, really close to Kylie, and oh my goodness, she was just a ray of light, a beam of sunshine. She sang so many of her hits and all of the new songs that we love. Padam, padam. We were living our best lives. And even though it was kind of like a mosh pit area, we were all gays in like our 30s and 40s. So everyone was really nice and respectful, and we were just dancing the night away, having a great time. She got so close to us. I was like, oh my God, Kylie, I can see the beads of sweat on your forehead. You're looking right at me. Oh, we had such a good time. I've only ever seen Kylie Minogue one one other time before, and it was like 10 years ago. So it is good to see that she is still rocking it and dipping it and doing it just as if she was still in her 20s. And let me tell you, us aging gays in the audience were really living for the energy, and it had us up on our feet the entire time too. We were dancing for the entire concert, just had a fantastic time. I feel like Vancouver is practically like a second home for me at this point. I'm there so often, but this was a nice trip for pleasure, and me and the boyfriend got to spend some decent quality time together, which has been quite lacking in our lifestyles lately. So it was just really great to reconnect with him, see a fabulous concert, have a good time. The weather was lovely. We ate some good seafood. It was really, really, really nice. We had a big federal election here in Canada, and all I'm going to say is that I am very, very thankful and very, very relieved. It didn't go as well as I would have liked for it to have gone, but ultimately, I'll take it. I will take it. Oh, I didn't get around to doing a burning questions video this month. I usually do a burning questions video on the last Wednesday of every month, but you know what, guys? I only got 3 questions. So shout out to Karen and Heather and Josh. Thank you so much for sending your questions into me. I will put you in next month's episode of Burning Questions. If you have a burning question for me, send it into allabootcandles@gmail.com. I think we're probably going to be winding down the Burning Questions series. Maybe my next one is going to be the last one, just because the questions have started to really come to an end and are really just trickling in at this point. Hopefully I get 3 or 4 more but before the end of May, so I'll do another Burning Questions segment then. But you know, I'm not taking it personally because so many of the questions have been asked, you know, throughout the 6 or 7 episodes I've done of Burning Questions. We have talked very in depth about lighters for candles, wick dippers, different types of wax, different types of wicks, candle crocks, candle lamps, everything, you know. So the questions are starting to slow down, which I totally understand. I will let you know right now, it does not need to be a candle related question. So if you're nosy about anything or just need some general advice, feel free to send in that burning question to allabootcandles@gmail.com. I also wanted to give a Sunday shout out. It's been a really long time since I have done a Sunday shout out. There is like a new kid on the block. Her name is Tracy, and she has a channel called 3 Wick Thesis. I think she started like at the beginning of the year. Like, she's fairly new and she is absolutely fantastic. I will link to Tracy at 3 Wick Thesis below. She takes a really great approach to her candle content, very like well thought out and like researched. She comes at it from like almost like an academic point of view. I love watching her channel, and she's just like, she's really on top of letting us know when the candle sales are happening, what she recommends, what she doesn't recommend, the breaking news. She's really quick to get in those candle hauls and first impressions and everything. So if you're looking for a new candle channel to follow, I really recommend Tracy over at 3 Wick Thesis. She is doing the dang thing over there, and I'm really, really, really enjoying it. Finally had a chance to catch up on some of my candle videos when I was away last weekend. You know, I'm not leaving comments as often as I used to because sometimes it feels silly to leave a comment on a video that was posted weeks ago, but I managed to finally like catch up on watching all of the YouTube channels that I like to watch when it comes to candle content. Anyways, that's all I've got for you folks today. I hope you've had a wonderful week and a lovely weekend, and I hope you're staying positive and looking forward to the week ahead. I'll be back tomorrow with a candle review for you as always, and until next time, my dear gorgeous and beautiful candle loving friends, let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Thanks, you guys. Bye now.